Senior coalition figures have urged calm after the cancelling of next week's parliamentary sitting saw Labour and the crossbench ramp up the pressure to restore the session. Tony Abbott criticised the cancellation, and reports of backbench disquiet so deep that one MP was considering defection. Mr. Abbott said fronting up in Parliament was the government's duty. You may not always want to go back to Parliament, but you always have to go back to Parliament because that's your job, he said. Amid an increasingly febrile atmosphere overlaid by the dual citizenship fiasco that potentially threatens his majority, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull promised steady hands at the helm and floated tax cuts for battlers. Deputy Liberal leader Julie Bishop also moved to smooth ruffled feathers, dismissing talk of an alternative leadership team made up of her as Prime Minister and Treasurer Scott Morrison as Deputy. But while one rumour had Ms Bishop as a possible alternative to Mr Turnbull, another named her as a key part of the government's problem. Responding to that story, Ms Bishop invited Conservative malcontents within the governing parties to discuss any problems with her rather than playing out such grievances in the public realm. Meanwhile, Opposition leader Bill Shorten wrote to Mr Turnbull on Tuesday, co-signing the letter with 4 of the 5 House of Representatives crossbench MPs, demanding that the House sit as scheduled on Monday to deal with some 53 bills requiring action. But there is little chance of that happening. Eager to shift the focus on the government's flagging hopes of recovery under his leadership, the Prime Minister endeavoured to throw the switch to the positive by holding out the hope of income tax cuts for low and middle income earners, although the size and timing of any financial benefits was left unspecified. Labour branded that a thought bubble designed to distract from the government's other woes. Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen said it was inconsistent with the plan to lift the Medicare levy to help fund the NDIS. That is a fancy way of saying an income tax rise. So somebody on $55,000 for example would be paying $275 a year. Someone on $80,000, $400 a year extra. So for the government to say we want to cut income tax, the first step would be not to proceed with the increase, he said. The government insists the income tax cuts can be afforded along with its ambitious, but deadlocked, company tax cuts plan, without imperiling the 2020-21 surplus trajectory. As government morale slumped, government ministers called on frustrated coalition MPs to air any concerns internally following an unnamed MP's reported threat to defect to the crossbench unless Mr Turnbull is replaced as leader by someone other than Ms Bishop. The disaffected MP's threat to quit the coalition next month was reported by Conservative News Corp commentator Andrew Bolt. Ms Bishop said she was not aware of an MP holding these views but would be very concerned if it were the case. If they are thinking that way, I'd hope they'd come and talk to me or talk to the Prime Minister about their concerns rather than talking to the media, she said. If somebody really is concerned, well then, please come and talk to us.